So this session is titled, Know Your Why, Know Your Top Box. What's your white hot why? And to kick it off, we are really grateful that we have one of our advisory council members for the Empower America Project, a congressman from Ohio who shares something in common with my dad and with me. He played professional football. Congressman Gonzalez played for the Indianapolis Colts, played at Ohio State, and he is, I'll let him talk about himself, but we'll have a conversation and I'm gonna have him talk about his why, and specifically, how does he answer when people say, why do you want to run for Congress? It's so broken. Why are you doing what you're doing? It is not easy. And so hearing from a sitting congressman about how he answers that question is, I think, something that will benefit all of us significantly. So I can't see him right now, but Congressman Gonzalez, are you there?
Yes, I am. I can see you. Oh,
yeah. Great. Yep. Thank you for joining us. I can already see we're going to have a little bit of a challenge, me hearing you, because of our technical snafu, but I can hear you. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Now, if you don't mind, introduce yourself to our audience. They've got your bio, but give us your brief background. I talked about our football that we have in common. I wish I had the opportunity to throw a football to you when I was playing quarterback, but I always love being online with other football players. So share a little bit about your background.
Sure. So I am the son of a Cuban immigrant and son and grandson of Cuban immigrants. My father came to this country in 1960, December 29th, 1960. Had to escape the Castro regime. We have spent most of my entire life in Northeast Ohio. And my father and our family has a steel business there. We grew up sort of in and around that steel business, and that has always been why I've been such a big proponent of manufacturing in our country and building a strong economy for Northeast Ohio. Additionally, as you mentioned, I went off to Ohio State. It was a first-round draft pick for the Indianapolis Colts. And then after my football career ended, which ended largely because of injury, I ultimately went to Stanford University, where I earned my MBA, ran a technology business for a few years, and then came home and really came home back to Northeast Ohio, trying to figure out exactly how I could be the most useful for my community. Northeast Ohio is a place that I just love. I mean, it's not sort of corny to say, I just love where I'm from. I love everything about it. I love the people. I love the environment. I love the geography. I could do without some of the winter months, but otherwise, I just love it. And I wanted to be back and to contribute in some way to my community. And then ultimately, for a lot of reasons, decided to run for Congress.
So, thank you. The story that I told before you got on, to help frame the issue that we are going to be covering and that I want you to answer. Senator Ted Kennedy in 1979 was going to run for president, and he was about to announce, but right before he announced, he had a key interview with NBC News, a reporter named Roger Mudd, and Roger Mudd was up in Hyannisport and said to Senator Kennedy, why are you running for president? And Senator Kennedy got a deer in the headlights look, and he gave a rambling answer that was not coherent, and his campaign against the incumbent president of the United States, Jimmy Carter, failed to get off before it even started, and he was ahead in the polls because the country was doing so poorly and Democrats wanted somebody other than Jimmy Carter. So an unbelievable example at a really high level of somebody who couldn't answer their why. And it's always, frankly, stunning to me that candidates or anybody who's doing something important doesn't know how to answer that question. Congressman, even before you started running or when you were thinking about it, why were you thinking about running for office? You already said some of it, but in a clear, concise, compelling way, what's your why? Why did you run for office, and why are you going to run again?
Great question, and it's a great anecdote that you just told. So two main ones. The first one is what I said. I love my community. I love Northeast Ohio, and I've always wanted to see it do better. So our community is a community that economically, we had a lot more going on seemingly 50, 60 years ago than we do today. And so I want our community to lead and to have more good paying jobs across a whole host of industries, but in particular in the manufacturing sector. And so that's reason one. The second reason was, I think like most Americans, especially in my generation, I was looking at our politics, I was looking at Congress, I was looking at how we legislate and lead our country. And frankly, I just got disgusted. I was tired of watching it. I was tired. I mean, if you watched the debate last night, it's kind of reflective of where we've come politically, where we scream and yell, we have very little respect for one another, and lo and behold, nothing gets done. And so I thought, there could be a better way. There needs to be a better way. We have big generational problems in this country, challenges that we have to face if we want to continue to be the greatest democracy in the history of the world. And we have to do it together, and we have to do it in a different way. And so those are the two big reasons. One, just a love of my hometown and wanting to see us do better, but really just a deep disgust with what I was seeing in national politics and feeling like I could be part of the solution and not part of the problem.
That's great. When you were thinking about it and having a background in technology, running a technology company and having your MBA, I trust that that's part of what you were bringing to the table when you were pitching to the voters. Vote for me. I care deeply about this area. I'm motivated because I think the country can be so much better. But what was your stuff? What is your stuff? Is it business acumen and how businesses thrive and flourish? And what else? What are your areas of expertise that you're bringing to the table for your constituents?
Yeah, great question. So two things I would say. One is the business acumen and the business expertise. Growing up in the Northeast Ohio economy, living that life, but also spending time on the West Coast and building a technology company in the software space. My opinion is always that we need a diverse economy that allows for opportunities for every American, every person, certainly in my district, whether you want to be a welder or a software engineer or anything in between, those opportunities need to be there. And so that was one component. The second component, and we've delivered on this, is I'm somebody who, my pitch to the voters is I know how to get results. I've gotten results on the football field. I've gotten results in the classroom. I've gotten results in the business world. And I believed that I could find a way to get results as a member of Congress because I think I know how to work with people. And this will resonate with you. You learn a lot in a locker room that has nothing to do with the game of football and has everything to do with how to come together with people from all different backgrounds who don't think like you and don't look like you, but to march towards common objectives and common outcomes. And so that was our other promise. And, to that end, we've passed more bills than any freshman Republican in all of Congress. And we've had 3 signed into law. We've had, I think, another 12. I think we did have one today that have been passed through the House and not yet signed into law. So, in terms of the deliverables, that was sort of our promise. We will be present in the community. We will help build the Northeast Ohio economy. But then we will also be productive and we will pass legislation to move our country forward.
That's awesome. Now, going back to your campaign and how you built your team. Like me, I trust that you modeled it on how football teams are built. And we have a deep appreciation for the different roles that people place. If somebody who's considering running for office, entering public service, were to ask you, Congressman, who were the most important people who I found to bring on my team so that I had trusted folks who I knew were looking out for my best interest and shared my passion for Northeast Ohio, for the business common sense that you're bringing to the table and the desire to get something done in a manner that's civil, and try to unite people, not divide them. How did you build your team, and who were the best kind of sounding boards for you, who not kept you honest, because I know you're always honest, but gave you real feedback and told you when you were, like when we would watch video, after games, and we never did as well as we thought, and we were never as bad as we thought. Who are those people for you, or those positions that are key as people are thinking about building a team?
Yeah, good question. So, the one thing I've always said, if there's one thing I can do, I feel like I know how to build good teams, and that served me well in my professional life and certainly in Congress. The number one person by far was my campaign manager then, my chief of staff now, Tim Lawley. He's born and raised in the district, and just knows politics like the back of his hand, but has the heartbeat of the community as well. And so that's been a real partnership, and one that I'm incredibly grateful for. There's just no way of saying it. I would not have been elected. I would not be in this position if I didn't have Tim and a great team. It's just the facts. And our congressional office wouldn't be as effective as we are if we didn't have great team members. And the way that I always think about it is, my view, especially in politics, but I think that this is true in technology too, and most things, your people ultimately determine your outcome. And you as a leader, you set strategy, you set tone and direction and culture, and then you empower your people to go deliver on that vision. And so that's how we've always run it. And you have to trust your people. But in order for that to work, you have to have A+ people on your team. And that's something that we're always striving for, and we always will strive for, because it is my passionate belief. One, I would be nothing without my team, but two, that if you hire correctly, and as the leader you set the right strategy and vision, then you can achieve anything you put your head to, and so that's how we've been operating.
Thank you so much for your time. I've got something else I want to ask you before we let you go and get back to the business of the people. And thank you for your service. What gives you hope? Obviously, there's a lot to discourage us, including last night and the past 8 months. The divisions in our country that are so deep and obviously personally felt. And Congress, people feel like Congress doesn't get anything done. Yet you're there and you're proposing legislation, you're pushing it forward. What drives you on a daily basis to be away from your family and to do what you're doing? Help us see inside what's motivating you and where you can find hope, so you can bring some hope to us.
Yeah, so I mean, my motivations, what keeps me motivated and gives me drive is my desire to see my community and my country a better place. As I said, I am the son of a Cuban immigrant. I love this country. This is the greatest country that's ever been created or conceived. But it will not be that way if we don't make it so. It's not by fiat that we will continue to lead the world. We actually have to do that work ourselves. And that's where I actually derive a lot of hope too, is because when I look at my community, but also communities across the country, not Twitter, get off Twitter, right? Take that out, take cable news out, but actually talk to people on the ground. And most people feel the same way. They're fed up. They might lean right, they might lean left, but they want to see more productive dialogue. They want to see leaders that they believe in, that they can trust, and they want to get out of this partisan craziness. I mean, it's just nonsense. And we set ourselves back, and we do an amazing disservice to our country. And so that is frustrating, but the response I see on the ground is what gives me the most hope, because I know at some point the majority of Americans will wake up to this, and they will not tolerate a political system that is broken and that only feeds off their divides and their division and anger. They will want a more unifying vision that they can believe in, and one that's positive and about empowering us for the future. So that's what gives me hope, and that's what keeps me going as hard as anything.
And now this is really the last question. Say something about money and the need to raise it, and how much time you spend on that, and how you viewed raising money before you actually started your campaign.
Yeah, well, I'll say generically, just sort of how it works, because we can't raise money in my office here. But
Right.
these political campaigns, the one thing somebody told me when I first ran was, hey, you have to build a great team, and you have to be able to raise money. And so what I did was I put a list together of about 100 names of people that I've known for most of my life, and that I didn't even know where they were politically, frankly. I could have guessed, but I wasn't positive. And I just started calling them all and saying, hey, here's what I'm thinking of doing. Here's why I'm doing it. I hope I can count on you. And it's very awkward, right, to ask your best friends and your family to contribute to a political campaign. But we had a nice reception there, which was very rewarding and humbling, frankly, to have people who are willing to commit, their treasure and some of their time to seeing you succeed politically. It's a very humbling feeling, and one that's not lost on me, honestly. I mean, they don't have to do that, and so I appreciate it.
But you had to make the ask. I mean, we're going to talk about that later. I just wanted to hear you say that. I didn't set you up, but you got to make the ask, right?
Yeah, you got to make the ask. I mean, look, it's in my technology business, among other things, I ran the sales team. And you're not going to get any orders that you don't ask for. There's not people sitting around going, I wonder if this guy could use some money today. I mean, it's very, very rare. And so you have to put in the work. You got to get your pitch down, and then you got to make that ask. It's not any different from selling anything else. It's just that you're selling yourself this time.
Well, you've been really generous with your time. We appreciate you being a supporter of Empower America, and sharing the vision that Senator Scott has, who I completely agree with his comment today, his statement, encouraging the president to correct the record if in fact that he doesn't think that white supremacy is something to give any moment to. So I know we share that vision for America of e pluribus unum and equality of opportunity for all. And I really appreciate your passion for business, entrepreneurship, for the workers of Ohio and America. And thank you for being in public service. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Good to be with y'all. And I completely agree with what you just said.
Thank you.
Thank you.